What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies? We got a bunch of crazy stuff to talk about today. We're gonna start with Don Lemon, or not. We're gonna start with Don Lemon. We're gonna talk about Don Lemonhead evading arrest. We got Somali Smollett. This idiot got caught lying about getting abused. Tennis players, except that black girl. These other tennis players are really making me proud, being proud Americans. And then we're gonna start with the 5-year-old's detention. Of course, these idiots are lying about it, and we're going to prove them wrong. Welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
If you don't believe that we are in a fight today, you're sleeping under a rock. If you get hit and you lay down and you cry and you fold up in the corner, definitely you will not win the fight. We show up to win. Our culture needs a lot of you young people in here to step up and stand out. There is nothing or no principality, power, division, devil can stop us when we're united. They can only get you when you're divided. When I see the American flag, I see us progressing to something that can be awesome and great. And if you don't plan on winning this, you might as well go on today.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Officer Tatum Show. Hey, I want to give a big shout out to Origin Studios, which is the studio that I'm in right now. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it is incredible that they were able to turn this around and allow me to still do my show, because I was going to have to be in that hotel room and that was going to be ugly. All right. And I know y'all wanted to see it in a good setup, and I appreciate those guys here. Sean Kelly does his show out of here. I've been on his show a few times. You guys know him. So shout out to Origin Studios. I really appreciate it. Hey, make sure, if you hadn't gotten Verdict yet, make sure you go on to Verdict Reserve Spirits and give it a try. At least look at the website. Check it out. See if it's something that you want. If you're a bourbon fan, this is the bourbon for you. Pre-orders right now. They'll be releasing the Verdict for shipment on the 30th. So in about a week or so, we'll be ready to ship out. Shout out to Blackline. Shout out to the Tatum store. Y'all know how to go get all the stuff. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. But we're going to start with the second craziest story of the day. I think this is second craziest. Now, as crazy as this is, I think it's second craziest of the day. Somali Smollett is the craziest. Maybe y'all can be the judge. Let me know which one you think is crazier. So the left is out here losing their mind, their salvation, at the same time by trying to be outraged about something that never really happened. They are pushing this agenda that this 5-year-old kid was, I think, isolated in an incident where the 5-year-old gets detained by ICE. Now, anybody with a connected brainstem knows that ain't no effing way in the world that ICE would be wasting their time going to seek out a 5-year-old to detain him. That's not even the age of culpability. Like, a 5-year-old could commit a crime and still not go to jail. All right? They go to juvie, potentially. Well, not 5. You got to be 8. I didn't want to say that because some of y'all threaten y'all kids right now, tell them they'll go to jail. If they watching it, it's really 8 years old. So don't, your parents lying to you right now. Just take that whooping and get on. But they're lying to us. And so we are going to prove the naysayers wrong and the left is wrong, and share this with your ignorant auntie them who's still watching CNN every day. Come on, let's pull up the clip. So this is some footage of the actual incident in the partial arrest. Roll the clip.
This comes after an Ecuadorian man was arrested this week who DHS says was in the country illegally. The man's 5-year-old son, Liam, was also taken into custody, at least the 4th minor detained in Minneapolis this month. DHS says the boy was abandoned by his father after fleeing the scene.
Liam and his dad are in San Antonio, Texas.
Hold on, time out. The disingenuous nature of this news report is insane to me. Why would they say that a 5-year-old is taken into custody? They know the ramifications and implications of saying taken into custody. The kid is not taken into custody. You use taken into custody simultaneously with taking a criminal into custody. So that criminalizes what they potentially had done with the kid. They know better than to do this. This is the 4th minor detained. He's not detained. He's a child. He's not implicated at all in a criminal activity. His ignorant daddy decided to flee and left his kid. Why y'all not talking about daddy fleeing and leaving his kid behind? And then he leaves his kid behind. They take the kid to a safe facility. Why can't they articulate that they had, like, as if the ICE, in this case, my opinion, The ICE agents are heroes. They're taking a child that's abandoned out of the snow into their possession to get him into a safe environment because his daddy don't give a about him. But why they got to frame that he's taken into custody as if he's a part of the arrest? These people are not going to heaven with the stuff they're doing. Go ahead. Roll the clip. Oh, that's just the picture. The clip was finished. I thought it was a little more. I kind of cut it off. Was there a little bit more on that clip? Okay, if it was a little more on that last clip, just put it back in and play it. If I missed the very end of that clip, roll it.
Month. DHS says the boy was abandoned by his father after fleeing the scene.
Liam and his dad are in San Antonio, Texas, at the Dilley facility.
Now, where is mama at? Where is aunties at? That's the thing that's crazy to me is that the real story should be, why would you have your kid in this situation? Now, we got a couple of people who are witnesses on the scene. We got JD Vance giving commentary, and Amala, who's one of my favorite content creators, she gave a statement about it as well, and I thought it was very relevant. And we have a couple more people commenting on this, but I want to start with someone who was at the scene, a witness at the scene. I think we have that clip. Whoa. Go ahead, roll it.
That.
You offered to take him and you saw ICE agents drive away with
Yes.
the 5-year-old boy.
Yes. And then I held another community member in their front yard sobbing.
Liam's
they
mother
say
was
anything to
inside
you?
the house.
Did they, like, when you asked them why they were doing that, did they say anything, talk to you?
So, you know, I don't remember if they did say anything back to me. There was a lot of yelling, and there was a lot of people, making a commotion. And so all I can speak to is the part that specifically that I heard and my response
Sorry,
to
to
that.
clarify, Liam's mother was inside the house.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay,
Did
and the
she
question-
say she wanted her child? Was she clearly, obviously saying, just leave him with me?
Again, I was not at that door when that was, as they were putting him in the vehicle and leaving. So.
Question for Mark. DHS officials have said that the father abandoned this child. How does that differ from what your understanding is? You said that they were being held at Dilley. What is your understanding of the conditions in which they're being held? Do you know if Adrian Conejo Arias has any sort of criminal record to speak of? I understand you were saying he was in the asylum process.
Sure, I'll take those in reverse order. To my knowledge, I looked through the Minnesota criminal database and found nothing. So no, there's no crimes here that the family has ever done.
Time out. Quit conflating before I jump through this screen on you. If you're in this country illegally, it's a crime. I don't know how many times we got to say this to people. If you come into this country without going through a port of entry, it is a crime. If you're in this country and you supposed to be at a detention or a I don't know what they call it, asylum hearing, and you don't show up, you're ordered to be deported. I don't know what we're talking about here. You don't necessarily have to commit a crime in order for them to execute a deportation. What are we talking about? If the person is in the country illegally and there's a deportation order by a judge, then that means you got to go. You don't get to say, well, I need to commit a crime first before you can execute a deportation order. Like, no. You knew you came here illegally, and you got to go home and take your kids with you. And these idiots trying to lie and say, well, mama was in the house. I wanted to keep the kid. They cannot give somebody kid to some random stranger because you got white guilt. They're not gonna get a kid to a stranger. And I bet you $1 million, I put my life on it. If a lady in the house was verifiably the child's mom, they would have left the kid with the mom. They don't want to deal with having a kid in the back of a car, having to transport them. That's more paperwork. But what is probably being conflated is that, no, there was another female in the house that wasn't his mama. the only parent verifiably was his dad, and so therefore the child has to stay with their parent. Okay. And y'all don't want to separate families. But he went with his daddy. Okay. Let's get to JD Vance. Roll the clip.
Well, I'm proud of the fact that we're standing behind law enforcement, and I'm proud of the fact that.
Did we finish that last clip? Did the lawyer have something additional to say? Because I feel like I cut him off. If he does, put the clip back in, finish that. If he don't, let's just finish JD Vance's clip.
The clip was finished, Brandon.
All right, JD Vance, go for it.
We're enforcing the country's laws. But, you know, you asked a question about this 5-year-old kid. I actually saw this terrible story while I was coming to Minneapolis. We just left Toledo, Ohio this morning for an economic messaging event. And I see this story, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy. And I think to myself, oh, my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien. And then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America? If the argument is that you can't arrest people who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that makes any sense. Now, you know, there are so many of these cases like that where if you just understand the context, there have been a number of situations that I've looked into personally where I say, wait a second, we don't want ICE arresting American citizens. They're supposed to be enforcing the immigration laws against illegal aliens. So then I look into it and I find out that the American citizen who was arrested took a swing at an ICE officer. You can't have that happen. And of course they have to defend themselves. And of course they have the right to detain somebody who assaults a law enforcement officer. Now, this is my point. Do we want these things to happen? Do we want these arrests to be so chaotic? No, we don't. These guys want it least of all, but if we had a little cooperation from local and from local and state officials, I think the chaos would go way down in this community.
Somebody give him a round of applause. You know what's funny is that how simple is this? There's a law in the book. If you don't like the law, change the law. Since you're not going to change the law, let's enforce the law. And then once we enforce the law, we need to enforce it consistent with all the other laws that we enforce. Because you guys don't want to enforce that law, but you want to enforce this law. You idiots don't want people who are pedophiles to get arrested because they're illegal. I hope to see y'all burning one day. Okay, let's get to the clip of Representative Angie Craig, because I think this lady was outraged over this. Roll the clip real quick. Angie Craig.
So now ICE is using a 5-year-old boy. A 5-year-old boy. They took him and used him to lure his father out. And now they've detained them both. The family doesn't know where they are. This is the worst of the damn worst.
Time out. Time out. You dumb horchata. How are you saying that the family don't know where he at? Where you think he at? He's in one or two places. Detained by the government or at the country in which y'all left and came over here from. It's only two things. And if you miss him and you're hurting then go back with him. Y'all could have got in the car too and left. Give me an effing break. These people are so stupid. They on here saying this stuff, and this lady lying, and she's a representative. She should be, what do they call it? Censured. Roll the clip.
Is not humanity in Minnesota, folks. If you
Fake
can
outrage.
look at this 5-year-old and actually with a straight face still support and be silent in the face of what the Trump administration and Kristi Noem is doing, I just can't even believe this is America. I will not vote for a damn penny to Kristi Noem or ICE in this Congress. This is a time where we should all be outraged. If this doesn't pierce through your humanity, as a Republican member of Congress, you can't speak out about this, then you've got no humanity left.
I hope she go to hell. I'm just going to say it. I hope she go to hell. And I want to have an option I want to be able to open a window and watch her burning in there. You got to be a devil to say something like this. This lady knows that she's full of crap. She knows that she's lying. She knows that ICE isn't arresting and detaining little children. You dumb bee. How about you take your narrow behind over and do a ride along with ICE and see what they actually are doing? Talk to somebody at ICE and see what the protocols are. But you don't want to do that. You want to turn the country into a cesspool of outrage because that benefits you politically. You know doggone well they didn't detain a 5-year-old. I hope they burn in hell. I just really do. I know I sound mean, but like, I hate what these people are doing in our country. We got a couple other clips. I'm going to skip Amala real quick. We could put her in post-production. Let's go with some other people on here. Trace McLaughlin. Is that who it is? Tracy. Roll the clip.
And this is a horrific smear that we're seeing the mainstream media and politicians on the left, including Kamala Harris, take and run with. The facts are actually that this little boy was abandoned by his own father. His own father was being approached by ICE agents when he ran and abandoned the child. Our law enforcement, in these frigid temperatures, stayed with the child, tried to bring him into custody with the mother, who actually would not take the child into custody, which is so sad, so horrific. Our law enforcement officers actually were taking care of the child, brought him to McDonald's, were playing his favorite music to really calm him down. This is, Asmark, there's major riots forming around our law enforcement officers. That is horrendous that the child is having to face this, but our law enforcement officers were taking care of him, and he's now reunited with his father in a federal processing facility.
That's good. Thank you, young lady, for saying that. His mama refused to take him. These dumb white liberals out there virtue signaling, lying to the public. All right, well, speaking of lies, let's go to Somali Smollett real quick. And then we'll put those other clips for you guys in post-production. I think Nick can hear me. Just add the clip of the update from the Border Patrol leader and some other stuff. We'll put that in post-production if you guys want to see it when we upload some videos later. But I want to get to Somali Smollett. This dumb jihad just lied about her involvement with ICE and said she got abused when this hamburger heifer knows she didn't get abused by nobody. Only person abusing her is probably her husband or a cousin who probably is also her husband. All right, let's get to the clips. Let's roll it. This is a press conference of what she said in this fake abuse claim. Roll the clip.
And I was waiting for these two men to hold the door for me. And I told them, hey, can you hold the door for me? And I walked right in the middle. And when I was in the middle, ICE came. They came out of their cars. They asked me to see my ID. And while they were asking me to see the ID, they just decided it was nice to be racist and say really nasty things to me. And that man, he called me the N-word, and he called me that, and then he arrested me. They arrested me. It was multiple people. They used a lot of force to arrest me. I actually got a scab that was healing while I was in jail. But they pushed me hard. They used a lot of violence. My body still hurts. I got a concussion. It's really hard for me to speak because of that concussion. They were just using a lot of force to arrest me, and I was screaming. I was crying. I was so scared. I've never been arrested in my life. I don't have a criminal record. I have a clean record. It was just, and then that detainment, I was detained. I was literal cuffs were put on my legs, cuffs on my hands, and I was actually detained with a Native American woman. And God bless her heart, she went through a lot too. She was also detained by ICE, and she was also a U.S. citizen, and like me. And she had gashes on her face. They shattered her windows. She had blood on her jeans, her corduroy jeans, and she was crying because she was so scared because she was with her dog. She was so scared that her dog got hurt. She was so scared for her life. We were both crying together. We were holding each other tight. And I'll never forget.
Real quick. How many seconds I got left on this thing? You could put it in the chat. You could tell when somebody's lying is when they're telling a truthful statement, they tend to look at the camera or in this direction, right? They do this. You can see at the beginning of what she was saying, when she was talking about her detention, she's looking here. When she starts to lie, she glances down like this. Because she's gathering fake information. It didn't happen down here. This is reaching. I'm thinking of my story. Up here is thinking. When you're recalling information, you recall it from this angle. When somebody look up and they're recalling information. Down here, these people are making up stuff. Up here, it's her having the confidence to tell you what really happened. And all you got to do is look at these people's body language. Easy, you can tell she's lying. And then it doesn't matter if a person is Native American. Who gives a flying flip? If you are and these people could have committed crimes, because just because you are detained by ICE don't mean that you didn't commit a crime. That means that if you are obstructing the execution of an arrest against a real illegal alien, you're still going to get detained by ICE because you're breaking the law, and that's a federal law that you violated, and they're going to arrest you on federal charges. They're a federal law enforcement agency. So you don't break the federal law, and just because you're not illegal, you can't be detained. So this idiot probably fought them. They had to knock her window out and all this other stuff. And they know it. They know what happened. How many seconds? I got 10 seconds left. Let's finish this clip, and then we're going to show the video. I think we got the video footage of the actual arrest to prove that this lady is full of sugar honey iced tea. Roll the clip.
Like the fear that we both felt in our hearts that day.
Where the tears at?
And like, I'm so sorry if I'm getting a little emotional, but
You're not emotional. You're faking. You done enough because she finna get exposed. Lady, you got a Band-Aid on your head somebody got from Walmart or Walgreens. Where's the mark? Where is the injury to this to get a Band-Aid that look like that on your forehead? If you got bludgeoned, you're going to have bruising, black eye, something. But look at the detention. And let's see if she got beat up like she said she did with the mark on her forehead. Roll the clip.
I'm 23 years old from St. Paul, and I encountered
Look like she spit on
ICE.
somebody.
I was detained, or let me rephrase it as I was kidnapped by ICE. I was kidnapped from ICE from my home. They came here, right there where I'm pointing at, and they came here, were following two men, and while they were following two men, they came and stopped at this exact area near the office.
Her hijab is still on. Lady, your burka's still on. They ain't whoop you that bad. Where you get the jingasso at if you got the burqa on top of it? How you get a mark right here? You ain't getting no mark. The people lying. I hope she go to jail. Kristi Noem, if you watching this, whoever else, she need to go to jail. She made a false report against a federal agent, or that could be a crime, or false reporting in general, which could be also obstructing an investigation by making a false report. It's probably a myriad of different crimes she committed. And then, like, these people should get sued civilly. Like, she's accusing these men and making them go through unduly, I would say, stress when she just made up an entire lie. How is she not held accountable for that? The state has to pay legal fees to prove that this woman is wrong, either by internal affairs investigations or whatever else. She need to be paying for that. In the state of Arizona, we got a dumb motorist law. When it's raining and there's a wash and they got the sign that says don't enter when there's water flow, and you go in there and they have to rescue you, you got to pay for it out of your pocket. When you go to Camelback Mountain in the desert because you ignorant and it's 117 degrees and they say don't hike in the desert at 117 degrees and you do it anyway and they have to extract you, they make you pay for it. When you lie like this on federal agents, you should have to pay for it. Let's get to John Lemon Juice real quick. And you know he ain't gonna make it to heaven either. Lying, talking about he a Christian with a man on top of his back every night. All right, let's go to Minnesota. So here's a couple updates. Let me say this. Don Lemon was going to be arrested. He was going to be arrested. But the federal judge decided not to sign off on the arrest warrant. And therefore, they didn't arrest him. They should arrest Don Lemon. Now, let me explain this before I get to the context. and I'm going to try to do this fast because I only got 10 minutes. I don't think Don Lemon right now should be arrested on federal charges because the probable cause, the burden of proof is a lot higher than on the state charges that Stevie Wonder can see he violated. Entering and remaining on private property after reasonable request to leave, that's trespassing. That's a crime, misdemeanor crime. If you are creating or a part of disorderly conduct, which he was, that is also a crime. At least you got 2 crimes right there. You got 2 crimes. So on a state level, he should be arrested on those crimes. Federally, they need to do an investigation and find out if there was correspondence between Don Lemon in preparation of this event. So if it was premeditated by Don Lemon, knowing that they were going to go and violate people's rights, then Don Lemon should be also included in the federal charges. Let's go to Fox News clip 100 and let's roll it.
Those 3 individuals who were arrested were some of the organizers of that anti-ICE protest at the church. But Fox News has learned that a federal magistrate judge shot down multiple arrest warrants that the Justice Department tried to get for other individuals who were also involved in that protest, including former CNN anchor Don Lemon. Sources confirmed to Fox the magistrate judge who blocked the warrants is named Douglas Miko, and his wife works as an assistant attorney general in Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison's office. A source close to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi tells Fox the AG is enraged at the magistrate judge's decision and says DOJ is still pursuing charges against additional individuals related to that protest. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and other Democratic leaders argue these prosecutions and the massive immigration enforcement operation are purely political theater.
All right, next clip, 101.
Rejecting the charges against Don Lemon smells fishy to me, and we may actually learn more about the magistrate's motivations, his bias, his conflict of interest, as Kevin pointed out. You know, legally, the magistrate would have to have decided that these prosecutors did not meet the standard of probable cause. But, you know, just personally disagreeing with the wisdom or fairness of bringing the case, that's not a valid ground for overriding the charging decision. So, Sean, I thoroughly expect the DOJ to do one of 2 things here: either bypass the magistrate by going directly to a grand jury for an indictment against Don Lemon, or go to a real district court judge, because, you know, a magistrate is really just a ministerial assistant. You know, he handles misdemeanors and warrants and empties the trash cans.
All right, let's go to clip 102, and that's Don Lemon Juice running his mouth on TikTok. Roll the clip.
Look, I stand proud and I stand tall. This is not a victory lap for me because it's not over. They're going to try again, and they're going to try again. And guess what? Here I am. Keep trying. That's not going to stop me from being a journalist. You're not going to diminish my voice. Go ahead, make me into the new Jimmy Kimmel if you want, because I'm not going anywhere, and I'm going to believe the same things, whether you want to, whatever. None of this is about justice. This is about power, and it's about people who are incompetent. When they want to become dictators or authoritarians and take over a country, what do? The first thing they do is get rid of the media. They shut off the radio. They have state-run TV. They have state-run radio. They have state-run newspapers. That's what's happening.
Time out. I think that gay get in his brain. I don't know what it is. That other man, DNA is getting in your brain. And people that know, you know what I'm talking about. So what are you talking about, bro? If we were living in a dictatorship, or somehow Donald Trump was trying to establish a totalitarian government, you wouldn't even be on here talking like this. You wouldn't be able to talk. They're going to take over the radios. What effort has been put forward to control the radios? Only Democrats do that. What effort has been put forward to take over television? Podcasters. Only Democrats did that. When we didn't toe the line in 2020, they want to deplatform you and do all that old crazy stuff. I remember it. We couldn't talk about abortion online or they'll deplatform you. We couldn't talk about COVID online, they deplatform you. You couldn't even be a doctor giving your scientific evidence to prove your thesis or prove your hypothesis about anything related to COVID, or they'll deplatform you. Oh, take your license away. You guys were doing that. Okay. Last clip from the, I bet his daddy is not proud of him. Okay, last clip, roll it.
Hello, everyone. Sheriff Grady Judd here. I'm standing in a house of worship, and I think about last weekend in St. Paul, Minnesota, where people who came to worship were attacked. They were attacked by rioters. The service was disrupted. They cut at the very fabric of this great United States of America. We settled this country so many years ago so we could worship free the way we wanted to in whatever house of worship we chose. That attack is unacceptable. I can assure you that had that attack been in this community, every one of those rioters would be in jail today. That's where the federal government could have found them, on state charges, locked up. And I pray it's that same way all across the United States of America. Enough is enough. Let's join together for the good of the United States of America. Let's worship the way we want to, and let's everyone renounce the horribleness of last Sunday in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate him saying that. You know what's crazy is that it's just common sense. Like, we're gonna look back on this and be like, what in the flying flip was people even talking about? It's basic principles that we've lived by for hundreds of years. All right, let's get to this last clip. It's a throwback clip of Don Lemon Juice. I guess he's trying to lecture Elon Musk. Roll the clip.
Elon, let's start with this. You're the richest man in the world. You own a major social media platform. You're influencing space, AI, energy, and now even politics. Do you think it's healthy or even democratic for one unelected billionaire to have this much power over public discourse and global infrastructure?
Power? Done. I built things people choose to use. No one elected me, and no one's forced to buy a Tesla, use X, or launch a satellite with SpaceX. That's called the free market. The real problem is when unelected journalists push narratives without accountability, shaping minds with zero innovation, zero risk, and zero skin in the game. So if you're worried about power with no checks, maybe look in the mirror.
Now, let me, I don't know if we was able to verify this. Was that AI or was that straight? Because I have never heard Elon Musk talk that straight, clean, without breaks. So maybe they modified it. But regardless of what it is, that was true. These fake journalist weirdos are out here trying to tell us how we should live. These people are not journalists. These people are not doing what's right. They're liars. They're deceptive. I have never once in my life, you can call me a journalist, I've never once in my life said, I'm going to go and report on this and lie because it benefits my side. Look, my side got to do it on their own. Look, if you cutting up, you cutting up. Donald Trump be cutting up sometimes. More than not, he do the right thing. But when he cutting up, I got to say he cutting up. It don't hurt me. There ain't nobody paying my bills. You ain't finna make me $100 million in my bank account every month. And maybe you cutting up ain't as bad to me. But you ain't giving me, y'all ain't doing nothing for me. I ain't gotta do nothing but keep it real and tell the truth and shame the devil. And even with that, like if you do that, you success will follow you. I just gotta say this. I got 1 more minute left. Success will follow you if you do the right thing. And I know a lot of people, they see money and green and they see clicks in the short term and they go, oh, I'm gonna go for that story. I'm gonna say this, even though I don't believe it, because it's clicks. I can really take advantage of this. When in reality, if you keep it real, you stay authentic, you just be real about what you're doing, you will be popular. Ask me how I know. I don't do the clickbaity. I don't do my stories like this. Where's the wind blowing? That's the story I want to do today. I don't do stuff like that. I do things that I'm passionate about, and people can tell when they watch me on television. And I have been able to be incredibly successful. You don't have to sell your soul for clicks. And these people like Don Lemon are selling their souls. All right, I got to get out of here. I want to make sure I tell you guys before I get out of here, make sure you follow me on Substack if you like to see the written format. I write articles based on some of my most popular videos. So people that love to read, you can read it there. Follow me on every social media platform at The Officer Tatum. You can follow me on the podcast network. I think people forget I have a podcast. My YouTube is so much more popular than my podcast. If you like to listen on podcasts when you're working out, riding in the car, if you're a truck driver, you're riding over the road, you want to hear B. Tatum, keep it 100. Make sure you follow The Officer Tatum Show on the podcast network. Also, Freedom Chat. Follow me on the Freedom Chat for my Freedom Chat people that enjoy communicating with me on Freedom Chat. I try to get back to everybody on Freedom Chat because it's not a million people following me on Freedom Chat. So I'm able to get to them. And also, I want to give a shout out to Verdict. In my opinion, the best bourbon I've ever tried. And make sure that if you go to the website, you have to be 21 and over. And if you're going to purchase bourbon from me or anywhere else, be responsible. The Bible is very clear. There's a couple weirdos that say, you can't, alcohol, read your Bible and quit playing. But the Bible does talk about drunkenness, right? So that means drink responsibly. I mean, if you want to have a sip of some bourbon over an ice cube, you want to put a little old fashioned together with some Verdict, guilty or not guilty. You can do that. That don't mean you got to get plastered. That don't mean you got to go out here and make bad decisions with your life. You can sip a little bit. Ask Jesus when he turned water into wine, and he didn't turn into regular wine. They said the finest wine. That means that he had Camus. He had the cold stuff. They probably sipped that, and they probably was in there gone. All right. Let me get off here before I get in trouble with the Lord. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you all for watching. And I want to give another shout out to one more thing before I get up off here. And that is Origin Studios, who gave me the opportunity to come here and record my show from the studios. Y'all in Vegas, you do podcasts, you need to holler at Origin Studios. They got the setup. Easy money, all right? Love you guys. See you on the next one. I'm out.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American.